Well, it's a book for parents through the eyes of a 10-year-old, but not just any 10-year-old. One that's not only traveled the world, but spoken at a NASDAQ event.
You know, you hear that all the time,
speaking.
of course. Author Victoria Branton is joining us now to help parents talk to their children about the future of their success. Victoria, it's such a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, and this is exactly why she spoke at NASDAQ.
So well spoken already.
Right. So tell us why you spoke at NASDAQ and how that came to be.
So at NASDAQ, I spoke about how children are always, children that I've noticed are always in their own little world, believing things that aren't really existing. And this happens because parents have misguided their children, and parents don't try to harm their children. So they're trying to protect their child by not telling them what's actually happening. But what they don't realize is that in the end, it's harming them more than telling them the truth. And I spoke about this because I've realized that children...
It's a little bit complicated because I think parents or adults think that children, maybe your age or a little bit younger, can't handle some of those topics. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
And can you give us an example? Like, what would one of those things be that maybe I would try to keep from my son at that age?
For example, if you got fired from your job or something and you didn't want to tell your child because you would be scared that they'd get worried.
That's a great example, but you, being 10 years old, you can handle that. You'd rather your mom tell you.
Parents underestimate how much their children can understand, and is your writing sort of reflective of this idea, or what's your writing about?
So I'm writing a book, and it's about how parents need to be more open and honest to their children. Because children know when something's happening with their parents, and their parents are their whole world. Because when something's happening with their parents, and the parents don't tell their children, the children get fear or anxiety and they become worried, and it will affect their health, their sleep, and even their grades at school.
And so here we're watching a video of you speaking. What was it like for you to be up on that stage speaking? Was it nerve-wracking, or did you feel
It was a little bit nervous, but in the end, I felt really proud of myself.
As you should have been.
Yes, absolutely. So your mother, I'm sure you and your mom are very close. Has she given you any advice?
Yes, my mom has given me a lot of great advice for a long time, but one thing stood out to me the most was to always be honest.
Such an important thing that I think all of us need to remember every day.
Right.
So when you're being honest, not only do you have a lighter feeling, but you're free of guilt. And you don't just need to be honest with other people, you need to be honest with yourself too. Because then you realize what you can do, what your traits are, and anything about yourself, and you feel good about yourself.
When you're talking about kids having anxiety when they don't know what's going on, when you're telling parents right now what they need to do and just be honest, I think, and that you can handle it, that takes a lot of anxiety and angst away from parents too. Yeah.
When I think parents hear advice from other adults all the time, what do you think it means to the parents that it's coming from you, a 10-year-old?
They might be thinking, well, maybe it's coming from a child, so this might be the perspective of my child.
That's right. Who would know better than a child about the perspective of a child? So what does the rest of the year look like for you? I mean, you've already obviously accomplished a lot. There you are.
Traveling the world, riding a camel.
So what do you think this year's going to hold for you?
I'm definitely going to finish writing my book. Hopefully travel more to my mom, with my mom, and maybe even come back here and visit you again.
And that would be really nice. And you can tell us what it's all been about. Well, this is really going to help a lot of people, Victoria.
It is. And if there are other kids watching, what advice would you give them to sort of start having that conversation with their parents?
Speak more to your parents, and maybe they'll open up a little bit more, and you can have a better relationship.
Right, get that conversation started. It's all about getting it going, right? Well, thanks so much again for visiting us, for enlightening us. You are really eloquent. You speak very well for your age, so I can only imagine it's going to continue growing and growing. So you're an incredible human being. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to see you. Well, to keep up with Victoria's journey as she finishes her book and continues her nationwide performance, head over to victoriabranton.com.